Are you tired of being the strong one? The one everyone counts on? The one who holds it all together? The one who never cracks under pressure? You have built a magnificent fortress around your heart, an armor of competence, of capability, of unflappable strength. And the world praises you for it. But in the quiet moments, after the performance is over, do you ever feel a profound exhaustion? A brittle feeling, as if the armor you wear is not protecting you, but slowly suffocating you? What if your greatest strength is also your most beautiful prison? Today, we are going to go on a deep dive into one of the most misunderstood concepts of our time: vulnerability. We will go beyond the popular view into a profound Jungian understanding. We will discover why the relentless pursuit of being strong is a form of shadow work in reverse, and why the most courageous act you can perform is not to reinforce your armor, but to finally find the cracks and let the light in. This is not a lesson on weakness. This is a masterclass on a deeper, more resilient, and more authentic kind of strength. The strength of the unarmored self.
The heaviest things we carry in this life are often invisible. They are the masks we refuse to take off long after the masquerade is over. You have learned to be strong. Perhaps you had to learn it very young. You learned to be the capable one, the responsible one, the one who doesn't need help. This strength became your identity, your shield, your armor. And for a long time, it served you. It helped you navigate the world. It protected you. It earned you respect and admiration. But an armor that is never taken off eventually becomes a prison. It rusts, it stiffens, and it begins to constrict the very heart it was meant to protect. I have seen this knight in rusted armor 1,000 times in my work. Sometimes I was this knight, the person who appears strong on the outside, but on the inside feels a quiet, brittle, and profound exhaustion. The person who is terrified that if they ever stop holding it all together, everything will fall apart. And the deepest truth is this: your performance of strength is the very thing draining your true power. Carl Jung had a beautiful name for this armor we all wear. He called it the persona. It is the curated, polished, and socially acceptable version of ourselves that we present to the world. It is our job title, our role as a parent, our reputation as a good person. It is a necessary and important interface for social life. But the danger, the great danger of the modern world, is when we forget we are wearing it, when the mask becomes our face. And everything we hide behind that mask, every feeling we were taught was unacceptable, every part of us that was too loud, too sensitive, too angry, too needy, goes into a suitcase in the cellar of our psyche. He called this the shadow. This process does not begin in adulthood. As children, we are brilliant detectives of love. We learn with heartbreaking precision which parts of our authentic selves will be met with approval and which will be met with disapproval or even punishment. So we make a choice, a subconscious, survival-based choice. We exile the parts that are not celebrated. The sensitive little boy who loves poetry learns to hide his tears and become tough. The wild, creative little girl who loves to make a mess learns to be clean and quiet. This is how the armor is forged, piece by piece, not out of weakness, but out of a profound and intelligent need to belong, to be loved. But the energy of those exiled parts does not disappear. It takes an immense, constant, and unconscious effort to keep that suitcase in the cellar locked. And this is the source of your exhaustion. It is the psychic energy you expend every single day policing your own authenticity, holding back the tears, swallowing the no, suppressing the anger. You are not just tired, you are depleted from a lifelong internal war, a war against your own wholeness. The result is a brittle kind of strength, a strength that is terrified of the unexpected, a strength that cannot afford to feel deeply. Because to feel deeply is to risk that the cellar door might fly open, and you will be flooded by all the feelings you have spent a lifetime trying to control. And so, vulnerability feels like death. It feels like an existential threat, not just a fear of what others will think of you, but a deep, primal fear of what will happen if you finally meet the parts of yourself you have abandoned. Pause with me here. Just for a moment, I invite you to place your hand on your chest and just breathe. Can you feel the armor? Can you feel the subtle tension in your shoulders, your jaw, your stomach? That is the physical weight of the persona. That is the cost of being the strong one. You have been carrying it for so long, you may have forgotten what it feels like to be without it. It is not your fault that you built this armor. It was a masterpiece of survival. But the ache you feel, the disconnection, the secret sense of being a fraud, is a message from your soul. It is whispering to you that the war is over, the threat has passed, and the armor that once saved you is now suffocating you. But what happens when life, in its fierce and loving wisdom, decides that the armor must come off? What happens when it begins to crack?
Life has a fierce and loving way of saving you from your own success. When the armor of the persona becomes too tight, too rigid, when it begins to suffocate the soul it was meant to protect, life intervenes. And its intervention often feels like failure. This is one of the most misunderstood secrets of the human journey. The moments we label as our greatest breakdowns, the burnout that brings you to your knees, the heartbreak that shatters your world, the public failure that leaves you feeling exposed and ashamed. From the ego's perspective, these are catastrophes. But from the soul's perspective, they are rescue missions. They are life's sacred invitations. They are the cracks in the armor. Remember that suitcase in the cellar? The one holding all the exiled parts of your true self? The soul, in its relentless drive toward wholeness, wants those parts back. It wants to reclaim its exiled heart. Your vulnerability, your softness, your messy, creative, and spontaneous joy. These are not weaknesses.
They are the most vital and nutrient-rich parts of your entire being. And as long as they are locked in the shadow, you will live a half-life. Competent, perhaps, successful even, but not whole, not truly alive. So life begins to knock. At first, it is a gentle tap, a quiet feeling of malaise, a lack of joy. If we do not listen, the knock becomes louder. Anxiety, a feeling of being an imposter. And if we still refuse to hear, life sometimes takes a hammer to the door. It creates a crisis so profound that the armor cannot help but crack. I remember a time when my own armor shattered spectacularly. For years, my persona was that of the calm, intellectual expert, the one who always had the answer. I was giving a major presentation to a very important audience. My armor was polished. I was prepared. And then it happened. My mind went completely blank, a total whiteout. The words wouldn't come. I stood there in front of hundreds of people in a deafening silence. It was a moment of pure, undiluted humiliation. The armor of the expert didn't just crack, it exploded into 1,000 pieces. In that moment, I felt a shame so profound, I thought it would annihilate me. But then, in the quiet hours after the disaster, underneath the shame, something else stirred. A strange and profound relief. The relief of not having to pretend anymore. The exhaustion of holding up that heavy, perfect mask was suddenly gone. And in its place was just a simple, flawed, and terrified human being. And for the first time in years, I felt real. This is the great secret. The collapse of the persona is not a failure, it is an invitation home. As the poet Rumi is said to have written, the wound is where the light enters. The crack in your armor is the wound, and the light is the return of your own exiled soul. This is where the Jungian path deepens the conversation on vulnerability. The popular understanding is that we should be vulnerable for others to create connection, and that is true and beautiful. But the first and most essential act of vulnerability is not for anyone else. It is for you. It is the courageous act of the conscious ego turning around and finally looking into its own shadow. It is the act of saying to the scared, exiled parts of yourself, I am here now. I am listening. You are welcome home. This is not about weakness. This is the very heart of the journey of individuation, the journey to become whole. A person who has never had their armor cracked is not strong. They are brittle. They are a fortress of glass. But a person who has been broken open by life and has had the courage to stay with the pieces, to find the light that came through the cracks, develops a new kind of strength. A flexible, resilient, and deeply compassionate strength. The strength of a great tree that bends in the wind, not a stone wall that shatters. So let's pause here for a moment. I invite you to bring to mind a crack in your own armor, a time of failure, of heartbreak, of being brought to your knees. Without reliving the pain, just for a moment, look for the light. What unexpected light, what strange relief, what quiet truth entered through that crack? Did you discover a new level of compassion, a hidden resilience, a clearer sense of what truly matters? Just acknowledging this is an act of profound self-compassion. It is the beginning of rewriting the story of your scars. They are not marks of shame. They are the sacred openings where your soul began to breathe again. To understand this is to change your relationship with failure forever. But it brings us to a new, more practical question. If we are not to wait for life to shatter our armor for us, how do we begin the conscious, courageous art of letting it down?
How do we begin this art of consciously letting down the armor? It is not a reckless act. It is not a sudden, dramatic confession to the world. It is a quiet, courageous, and two-part practice. And the most important part happens in silence. The first and foundational practice is internal vulnerability. Before you can ever be safely vulnerable with another person, you must first learn how to be vulnerable with yourself. This is the most intimate and healing act of the entire human journey. It is the end of the inner war. It begins with what I call the practice of radical honesty journaling. This is your sacred, private space, a space with no audience, no judgment, and no performance. And in this space, you give yourself permission to write down the truths you are afraid to admit even to yourself. The sentences that your persona would never allow you to speak. I'm scared. I'm lonely. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm angry at the person I'm supposed to love. I'm tired of being strong. Just the act of writing these words, of giving a voice to the exiled parts of your shadow, is an act of profound liberation. You are not fixing them. You are not solving them. You are simply witnessing them. You are saying to the terrified child in your inner cellar, I see you. I hear you. You are allowed to be here. This is the first great act of reparenting. It is the beginning of the end of your inner alienation. Once you have established this foundation of inner safety, only then can you begin the second practice, external vulnerability. This is not about oversharing. It is not about trauma dumping on unprepared friends. That is not vulnerability. That is a leaky boundary. Conscious vulnerability is a deliberate and discerning act. It is about choosing a safe container, a trusted friend, a loving partner, a skilled therapist, someone who has earned the right to hear your story. And in that safe space, you share a small piece of your authentic self. Not the whole overwhelming story at once, just a fragment of your truth. I had a really hard day today, and I'm feeling overwhelmed. I'm feeling a little insecure about this project. You test the waters of connection. And when your small act of truth is met with empathy, with acceptance, something magical happens. A neural pathway in your brain that has associated vulnerability with danger begins to be rewired. A new association is formed.
Vulnerability equals connection. Vulnerability equals safety. Vulnerability equals love. This is a slow, gentle process. It is the work of a lifetime. But with each small, courageous act, the armor gets a little lighter. The cellar door creaks open a little wider, and the exiled parts of your soul begin to walk back into the sunlight of your conscious life. And this is the great paradox. Integrating your vulnerability doesn't make you weak. It makes you truly, deeply, and flexibly strong. Think of a great oak tree. Its strength is not in its rigidity. If it were perfectly rigid, it would shatter in the first great storm. Its strength is in its ability to bend, to sway with the wind, to yield. Its roots go deep into the dark, messy, vulnerable earth, and that is the source of its unshakable power. The unarmored self is like that tree. It is not afraid of the storms of life. It has the flexibility to feel, to grieve, to bend, and to rise again, stronger and more deeply rooted than before. Pause here with me one last time. Breathe into your heart, and I invite you to make a quiet promise to yourself. A promise not to be perfect, but a promise to be real. Just for today, what is one small, vulnerable truth you can acknowledge just for yourself? It could be a feeling of sadness, of fear, of simple tiredness. You don't have to do anything about it. Just allow it to be. This is the beginning of the art of letting down. This is the path to a strength that does not need to shout, a power that does not need to control, a peace that comes from finally being at home in your own imperfect human skin.
We have stood before the armor of the persona. We have honored the cracks that life has made in it, not as failures, but as sacred openings. And we have learned the quiet, courageous art of letting it down. And now we arrive at the great, beautiful paradox of this journey. The person who has integrated their vulnerability, who has made peace with their own imperfect human heart, is not the weakest person in the room. They are the strongest. It is the strength of the oak tree, not the stone wall. The strength of deep roots, not high battlements. The unarmored self is not weak, it is alive. And because it is alive, it can feel. And because it can feel, it can connect. And because it can connect, it can heal. For years, I believed strength was a fortress, something to be built and defended. I have learned through the deep wisdom of Carl Jung and the even deeper wisdom of my own scars that this is not true. True strength is a garden, something to be cultivated with tenderness, with honesty, and with the courage to let in both the sun and the rain. The journey of welcoming your vulnerability home is not about becoming a perfect, enlightened being who never feels fear. You will still be afraid, but you will be afraid and brave at the same time. You will still feel sadness, but you will know you have the depth to hold it without drowning. You will still make mistakes, but you will have the compassion to forgive yourself and to begin again. The war is over. The performance has ended. The immense, draining energy you once used to maintain the armor is now free. Free to be used for creativity, for connection, for joy, for a life of authentic presence. This is the ultimate freedom. The freedom that comes from no longer needing to hide. The profound peace of being at home in your own skin. So I invite you now to a small, private act of courage, a final ceremony to honor the truth you have uncovered today. You don't have to tell anyone. This is just for you. Simply find a quiet moment, perhaps in front of a mirror, and say one vulnerable truth out loud to yourself. It could be a whisper. I feel uncertain right now, and that's okay. I am tired of pretending, and that's okay. I am worthy of love, even in my messiness, and that's okay. Just the act of giving voice to it, of letting your own ears hear your own truth, begins to dissolve the armor for good. In the comments below, if you feel comfortable, share one word that describes how it feels to even consider this practice. Let's create a space that honors this quiet courage. In the new silence that follows the clanging of the armor, a new, quieter voice can finally be heard. The voice of your soul. The whisper of your intuition. In our next video, we will learn how to tune into this inner guidance system and cultivate the art of deep listening. But for now, just rest here, in the quiet strength of your own authenticity. The war is over. Welcome home to yourself.